Oke, YouTube udah dimulai ya. Oke, IG dimulai. Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to my version Fiks ya. Karena tadi sore sebelumnya udah match BL Super League antara Persib Bandung lawan PSM Jakarta. Kali ini ada match Premier League yang pertama kali di Indonesia tuh jam 9. Jamnya sih pas, cuma di hari kerja. Itu Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest. Halo Pasli. Tes ya. Oke, YouTube. Tapi bumbunya juga iya sih. Nah, tadi Taylor. Nah. Halo Rashid, halo Rashid. Oke, tes. Palmer. Oke. Karena sudah baca tapi nanti saya sebutin line up-nya. Chelsea. Coachnya masih internet sih. Callum McFarlane. Oke, Robert Sanchez. Malo Gusto, Trevor Chalobah, Tosin. Halo, Abah Tosin sama Kukurea. Lavia, Caicedo. Saja sedari tapi budak-budak Kopama Enzo Fernandez ini kayaknya bakal di rotasi, nggak akan di depan top jauh. Pedro tapi cadangannya Jurgensen, Colwill, Delap, Aguso, Anderson, Hato, terus James Fofana, Acempong. Oke ya. Nottingham Forest, Vitor Pereira. Mats. Oke. Zach Abod, Dirkunya, Morato, Luka Nets. Yes, Mekate, Rian Yates, Nicolas Dominguez, Dylan. Kok beda? Nggak ada sih itu. Berapa kemana? Squad kedua karena kan semifinal OL. Igor Jesus, Taiwo Awoni. Iya, mau ini. Ortega, Nico Williams, Anderson, Magnusson, Chris Wood, ada Siluka, Omari Hosison, Nicola. Oh iya sih. Semifinal. Ya karena posisinya di bawah yang mau ngejar apa lagi selain bertahan, sama itu ngejar Europa League. Leg pertama juga menang 1-0 lawan Aston Villa. Derry. Halo penonton. He's only played 50 minutes of Premier League football since he arrived from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Such as a wholesale rotation that Vitor Pereira has undergone today, next sees his first start playing on the left of the back four. Second spell as caretaker, but a first home game in charge over either of them. McFarlane. Those who defeated Chelsea that heralded the end for one of Vitor Pereira's predecessors this season. Ya. Oh ya, by the way, karena ini Premier League, yang di YouTube khusus ada live statistik ya. Dan kick off sudah dimulai, Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest. Ya. Live statistik via Footmo. Halo bro. Halo Pak Ketum, Bem. Belum di tag ini. Oke. The run in belum muncul karena belum ada peluang. Forest sudah lagi. Oke. Jatuh. Ya Allah. Oke. Throw in. Bohong. Kali cabut. Ya Allah. Ini gue bantuin. Kacau. Nah, ini ikut jumlah. Bisa swingnya bebas. Siapa yang nggak? Kok bisa bebas gitu? Oh nih. Ya Allah, itu coba sama Gusto. Kok bisa-bisanya? Kacau. Oke, share screen ya. Kacau. Kacau. Taiwo Oni menit seberapa itu? Kacau. 2. Aku bolanya. Sa Awoni. Gimana sih? Take the lead before Chelsea had even had a touch of the ball in Nottingham Forest half the pitch. Just as we're talking about question marks over his team selection as well. Two players that have come in. Kacau Masih kaget loh saking ini. A really nice bit of quality has to be said. But it was relatively simple what backward done, but the feint was good. Cucurella was convinced that ball was going to be delivered with his left foot. Went to block it and he chopped it nicely to get around him to get the ball in. Now he's got some questions to answer. Kacau. Ini. Kacau. Halo penonton. Sebisana ya teh. Korea. Nah, kemarin Millwall nggak lolos playoff, West Ham jaga sih. Wah, itu mah. Kayaknya kalau bikin konten championship kayaknya keren tuh. Penasaran derby West Ham sama Millwall. Oh, Oh. Ngay back pass ya. Apa? Kalian nonton yang mau komen langsung aja di live chat ya. Aduh, ini. Oh. Kamar. Aduh, hampir. Just a little bit too much on the ball. First chance we get to see Derry in that situation, but he offloads early, and the timing of the run from Palmer is pretty good. He comes from deep. But that angle there, it's just slightly in front of Cole Palmer. These two sides met at the end of last season. Chelsea denied Forest a place in the Champions League. And this week those tables can be turned because a Forest win today would mean that Chelsea can't finish in the top 5. Ferreira's men don't lose the Villa on Thursday. They will cut the Blues' lifeline of 6 being potentially enough for Champions League football. There's going to be one of several sides with keep an eye on that Europa League semi-final second leg, which will have far-reaching ramifications throughout the top half of the table. Batasin. Sanchez. The Chelsea goalkeeper, the Chelsea backline have now only kept one clean sheet in their last 19 league games. Okay. That's incredible. A big reason why they dropped right down the table. That foundation is very hard to win football matches in the Premier League. Pelanggaran lagi. In this one, good career. A lot of contact, but he'll be frustrated with that piece of one defender, which is usually a real strength of his game. The early goal was given Nottingham Forest the advantage in the win probability there. Seen as being very slightly more likely to win the game than not now. What's the situation to start play? Because even though Chelsea are in this historically bad run, they start to play well, regardless, being twice as likely to be Forest as the other way around. It's quite hard to figure out Chelsea's kind of position as well. I mean, Enzo and Palmer both look to be drifting about those central areas. Only Jesse Derry kind of holding that width on the left-hand side. Okay. Go Pedro. Anggaran itu. Nah. Oh jelas, pelanggaran jelas. Yes, he puts his arm on the shoulder of João Pedro, but as you would do, I think he falls to the ground once he feels it. The foul I get, but I think that's quite a harsh yellow card there. I think it was season for Morata. Oh. Anggur. Sinyal. ganito. Yeah.
Anthony Taylor coincidentally has shown red cards in his last 2 games here at Stamford Bridge, including one to Leeds midfielder Moise Caicedo. Be careful now. Not very ideal as a centre back on a yellow card after 10 minutes. Who knows? So Enzo Fernandez to take charge of this free kick for Chelsea. That's the good goal. But from Manchester City, it's only his second start for the club in the Premier League. With possession. It was Aouniyi pulled down. He's claiming that he was. Ryan Yates leading the Nottingham Forest delegation to ask the question of referee Taylor. Want to start the game. Great wing play again.
Langsung.
Can't see the foul on that angle here. I mean, they're so conscious of the movement here. Oh, yeah. That looks like a penalty to me. I mean, VAR having a good look at that, but there's no way you're going to get away with that shirt pull there, surely. I mean, that clearly impedes a 1 year in terms of getting the ball. Well, it's Paul Howard who is on VAR duty. The reaction from the Forest players tells you a lot. They were adamant. Go straight at the referee. There's a clear shirt pull. Looking at that slow motion, there's something there for sure. I guess the question is it affecting the play and the ability of a 1 year to get that ball?
Hello, Nick.
Anthony Taylor has been given a message by Paul Howard. The recommendation of an on-field review. I think once he sees this, you're going to be able to clearly see that there's a shirt pull, which we see a lot in the box, doesn't automatically mean it's a foul. But the manner of it and the fact that Aouniyi is driving to get on the end of this cross, which is a great ball in from backward getting superb wing playing the build-up, it stops him getting there. So there's no way you can't arrive at that conclusion, really. Well, let's see what Anthony Taylor has got to say. After review, Chelsea number 27 deliberately causes opponent yellow card for Marlo Gusto, a penalty for Nottingham Forest. Early news compounded.
Gusto.
Can't complain. Shaking the head, but you can't complain with that. The sloppy defending with the wrong side. And Aouniyi has put fear into that back four already with his first goal. And again, his movement off the back was excellent. It's exactly the same combination from backward into a 1 year. It's a super start to the game for Forest. Chris Hill has scored his last 25 penalties in match. The position to take this one. He's missed one for Forest so far. There's Morgan Gibbs White, who also is on the bench, so it's going to be Igor Jesus who will take the responsibility. Scored one against Porto this season. Can he put this one away to make it 2-0? Yes, he can. Forest supporters in dreamland.
Ciao, anh.
Poignant celebration for Igor Jesus, who became a father overnight in Brazil. A wonderful 24 hours for the Jesus family. And although young Henry will be oblivious this as to now the significance of the moment. Those travelling Forest supporters won't be. Their reserves, 2 of the Chelsea in 15 minutes. It's been on the score sheet lately, but prior to that,
Anjing.
dry run of form in front of goal, Jesus. But he took the responsibility of this penalty. And he's super calm and composed, waits to see the movement of Sanchez and just slots it straight down the middle. I have to say, VAR has done its job in this game because that is a clear penalty that was missed on field, and quite rightly, it's been flagged to the referee's attention. Sustained contact, yeah, it's a big enough of a shirt pull to stop a Wonyi developing into that area to win that header, and he may have got there. I wonder what Roberto De Zerbi is making of this. The Spurs manager, who will bring his side here in the penultimate weekend of the season. He's doing his best to be disguised there, Jimmy. Very undercover.
Kacau. Aing ah.
There's not many people know that he's here. He will bring Spurs here the final Tuesday of the Premier League campaign. Look at his lips at the prospect in a moment. He will. Chelsea look rattled, don't they? Every time the ball comes in the box. We've spoken about the lack of a clean sheet. There's obviously lack of a goal the other end as well, which is maybe more alarming. But miles off it at the moment. Fernandes emerging with possession. Remember, he hit the post at 1-0.
Ampun.
The moment he steps inside, I think everyone's kind of holding their breath here, thinking this is going to find the net. Waits for the overlap.
Done.
From nets. The moment he goes with the runner on the outside, he's got that angle inside, and that's a fair way wide. That's a Cole Palmer that's maybe not quite in sync and as sharp as what we used to see. The first taking a big step towards salvation. Chelsea slipping further away from what they need. Remember, there are only 9 points to play for after today. They will be 10 points adrift of the top 5. Unless they can turn this around. Chelsea needing a dramatic fight back. They have won this season in a game that could prove crucial. And down the relegation picture, they were 2 down under West Ham. You might remember back in January, they came back 1-3-2. And ready for themselves to try and save it. Being 2-0 down is one thing. When you're 2-0 down and you haven't scored, for as long as Chelsea haven't scored, it will feel a more impossible task. They were against Leeds in that last weekend. Their first against top division opposition since they were beaten at PSG, but in the Premier League, it's 8 recorded hours since they last found them out. That's when Joao Pedro completed his hat-trick at Villa back in early March. But now, in early May.
Sekemah ya tel. Entah kacau.
This Chelsea team is in a different place than where it is now. But this happened just before the penalty. Oh, there's the tackle. A step on the foot, but Enzo strikes the bottom of the post just before that penalty. There's a lovely hit, wasn't it? First time, just tries to pass it in there. Really nice technique just to try and slide that in the corner.
Aduh, tiang lagi
Forest straight up the other end to win the penalty. Yeah, less than a minute after it could have been 1-1 penalty. Incident happened at the other end. They got high hopes for here. They were thrilled that they managed to get him out of Crystal Palace last summer. Pretty invidious circumstances for the youngster to make his Premier League debut. There he is again. One from Chalobah. This time. Taking on Abbott, the player that he knows very well from England under 19 duty. It's a really interesting matchup, isn't it? Two players in the Premier League debut against each other. We were going forward with Chelsea fans doing what's necessary. It's amazing how much Forest have benefited from their recent change of shape. They switched to a 4-4-2 when they were losing at half-time against Burnley. Since then, they've now scored 12 goals without conceding. That is pretty remarkable, isn't it? A really nice foundation of a team, which wasn't scoring goals, was their huge problem. They've put that right lately. Just their part, they've now conceded 13 since they last scored in the Premier League. That's a full indoctrination into being number one for Callum McFarlane. He's only had 3 games in his 2 spells as an interim manager. He's already overseen a Wembley win, which he described as the best day of his career by a mile, and he's going to be back there in a fortnight to lead them out for the final. Now they need to find a little bit of form between now and then. They say they're going for the same ball, which broke Enzo's way. So again, not happy. That'll be a call.
Chao.
You step up for the defensive line, and they'll probably get it away again. It's a great gamble from Kubila. How well did he read that from centre back to step in with that ball in front of João Pedro's top play? I have to say, they're going about business really well, aren't they? London Forest. Back 4.
Bercanda,
Shuffling across, it's looking like a 3 at times because Chelsea is so narrow on one side, but they're able to tuck right over, but they're gauging the distances brilliantly. Well, they have the incentive, these players, knowing that for most of them, they're unlikely to be in the starting lineup in the 2 big European games coming up.
One
On Thursday, potentially the final as well. They'll get themselves into that team. So the likes of Backwell really catching the eye in the early stages here. major interest to the game. So he's ball in here, and Derek trying the acrobatic as he drifted over the shoulder of Abbott. Worth a try. Yeah, worth a try, but tough to execute. Just tries to pull off the back post. Abbott's there. Probably blocking the angle to goal, but very difficult to get over the top of that ball.
Ini
Really solid. Gene forwards, Derek. Chelsea staring down the barrel of 6 successive league defeats this season. They haven't scored in any of the previous 5. Close to that.
Korea.
But force themselves into a save. Being shown aside by Nets. It's Derry. See what he offered in the early stages of team next third.
dan
Chelsea just starting to squeeze Forest a little bit with loads of possession. Forest defending well, but can't get hold of the ball and get it into the front and build anything. So it's coming straight back at them. Finding Derry. She was a little bit heavy, you rescued it beautifully. That's why here comes Cole Palmer. Going past Luca Nets. He's getting he's stuck in his task really well so far, Nets. It's been an impressive start to the game for him. He had a nice distance there. The moment Palmer had that first touch, he was on it. Straight in to make the interception. Already up the line, statistics in Chelsea's favour. Not the first time that we've seen this in a Forest game since Miguel Pereira took over. Less the ball than the opposition and a clinical nature to their attacking play. 2 attempts, they've scored with them both. It was a not dissimilar story when they had their last league game away at Sunderland last Friday, where they were 4 up at half time, remember? For Chelsea, so they haven't really done too much to get a 2-goal lead, have they? Playing nice, a couple of pieces of play from backward, but not locking in with a 1 in the box, free-headed goal, and then a sloppy penalty, and all of a sudden, Chelsea with a mountain to climb, not being able to score a goal, and it's a big problem for them. Another chance for Derry. So not backwards and going forwards. Across the right from here, Figueroa firing it in. Enzo Fernandez waiting for the bounce his way. Lamia tries his luck. Takes off Dominguez, and McAtee will prevent the corner. And you do wonder how long Forest can just defend for. They're now kind of having a bit more ball in this game. Because there's a matter of probability, quite a few of these end up dropping right in the Chelsea half. And I think it's just a collision there with Derry, isn't it, off the ball? Taylor just checking he's alright. Well, VAR didn't have a look at the incident. I think it was Ryan Yates that raised his arm as Terry was trying to make the run past him.
Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva tadi.
Thiago Silva, who has been involved in the European action against Nottingham Forest this season. Still playing at the age of 41, Thiago Silva. Incredible. What a player. Thomas Tuchel here as well, alongside Roberto Martinez, just looking at their varying charges ahead of the forthcoming World Cup.
Tong masuk ke. Nah, jadi kieu tim urang aing. Hancur gara-gara ieu. Asli blue cone mah.
Some full international squads way down the line. Very different type of player who is down, who was a tigerish, combative midfielder. Sean will be the first to admit that Chelsea's probably the more talented player in the family. Be careful the way he said that later. Very nicely put. Junior back on the field, the Ryan Yates, which was what the problem was. And he's still got the ability to bring up the bench if necessary. He's in the form of his life with 7 goals in his last 7 league games, Walking Gibbs well. That is the interesting thing about his team selection, isn't it? You look at the bench, Wood, Gibbs White, Anderson, Hutchinson. The start has just been unbelievable. I don't think anyone saw this coming. You see Darling in forward, see Jesus! Single the lines of Sanchez. Suarez look for a third. It's just too easy, far too easy to get good effort at goal from a player who, technically there, strikes that really cleanly with his left foot. Okay, Sanchez down the line a bit, but whenever the ball goes into the Chelsea box, you just feel there could be an effort on goal. It's quite a clever move from Pereira as well to play Jesus off of another striker. I think the pressure of having to score the goals was laid down on him. He wasn't getting the performances out of him. He looked a different player playing up front with someone else. I think it's a smart move from the manager. Just given a little bit more freedom, able to drop it into spaces to link up the play. Has the ability to link the press. Somebody else alongside him, Chris Wood.
Begitu tunduk ini nonton. Saya
I agree with that. I think our possession, he saw him as a really valuable player. His work rate is excellent. So I wanted to keep him in the team, but he's found a way. Urge to shoot, does get it in. Hit the arm of Morato, and they were big appeals for that ball for the Chelsea supporters. Incident that is being looked at as we speak. His arms look to be right down by his side. I mean, if he does strike his arm, they're in a really sensible position. The incident has been checked and cleared, into a deflection into him. Yeah, I think it just nick off another player, but his arms were right down by his side. There he gets the shot on target.
That's all right.
That's the defender that not past the goalkeeper. This is the penalty claim again. I mean, there's a couple of handballs on it. There's an initial handball on the first one, right off the striking of the ball. It's McAtee now for Forest, and he's won the first corner of the day. The first time, Forest looked like they could just create an opening at will. Chelsea with all the ball, the possession, building attacks, applying pressure to Forest. Can't find the breakthrough, but when the ball goes up the other end, I feel there's going to be some kind of event, whether it be a cross, a shot at goal, or win a corner. Forest more than happy to sit in and just keep playing in this fashion. So this is Forest's first corner. Chelsea have conceded 11 from corners this season in the Premier League. Only West Ham have a worse tally than that. Forest excellent from set pieces, pulling back for McAtee. And the deflection spins it away. And it's with his own player as well. And look at the space he's got. Nobody sees the cut back to the edge of the box, and all he's trying to do is just guide that towards the goal, because if he does, it could go anywhere, and it nearly did end up in that near post area. Well, it's the secret to Forest's success at Sunderland in their last league game. Brilliant press and superb set pieces. And then intelligently brought back the McAtee, but it was Morato that did the defensive work on Chelsea's behalf. Abbott getting it for. This challenge. Score in. Chelsea with nearly twice as many attempts as Nottingham Forest so far, but only the one on target, which was Jesse Derry's effort saved comfortably at the near post by Matt Sells. It's a recurring theme. They've now had 80 shots in the league without scoring. I'm sure Forest had 100 this season, didn't they? They've been in this place, but they couldn't score a goal. As poor defensively as what Chelsea should, but that's basically what got Forest into the mess they're in. The inability to score. I've got that right, haven't they? Vitor Pereira has found a solution to that. So ball rotation from João Pedro. So we're going to go with Enzo Fernandez. Long switch of play. Fielded by Palmer. Nice turn from Romeo Lavia. And from Enzo Fernandez as well. João Cunha stood firm. With Raya on the scene. Now the Eagle, João Pedro could get themselves into a shooting position. I think there he wins another quarter. Super defending from Forest when they need to be. Chelsea create some nice little areas and scenarios, but the red shirts are out there snapping at the ball all the time. Certainly when it's on the edge of the box, it's good pressure. Themselves takes the responsibility, but the collision at the near post with Gates on the deck has been punished by the referee. Convincing of kind of punches for themselves. There's a bit of a flap at that. It's all the contact with the near post. It's not much in it. Yates is quite clever there actually. He uses all his experience. He's got a bit of know-how on the football field, hasn't he? I must say, Yates. Good player to have in these kind of matches, in this kind of situation. Pedro's been bereft of quality service today. Beautifully there. Getting away from his countryman, Jacques Cunha, who faces him up again, and he nutmegs him, gets around the back, goes down. The referee says goal kick. These little will be checked. Anthony Taylor's pretty sure that he knows what he saw. Because the instinct for that is to get a yellow card out for João Pedro. It's nearly a foul initially, but that's a dive. The simulation should have a yellow card from Anthony Taylor here. It's lovely play from João Pedro, but that's where it all goes wrong. I'd like to see that. Well, he was the last player to score a league goal for February and March, respectively. His career with a bang with those goals in the Club World Cup semi-final and final. It's his fifth for the club today. He has enjoyed the most prolific season of his career, but he's only once in his last 9 games coming to this one. Difficult afternoon for him and all of those boys in blue. Cole Palmer out wide for me, and him centrally. It's a different dynamic to Chelsea. Enzo's got that role this afternoon, but he's had a lot of the ball, Palmer, but we're not seeing him in those areas where he can really unlock with clever passing and shots at goal. I'm a little bit surprised to see him out there, Jim. Now, I thought maybe Enzo could have played wider, with Palmer more central. It's a free kick. That's on Gusto. Chelsea with an opportunity to get themselves back into this game coming up at half time. Do their best to dilute the reception they will get when the half-time whistle goes. Free kick swung in, Morata with a commanding header away for Forest. It's a great ball in. It's just missing the contact, it was so inviting. A good touch from Derry, from Kukuraya, João Pedro, Gusto, is he brought down? Ball in one, João Pedro, Gusto with a bouncing effort, saved by Sells. Again, the instant, it's
Kunaon?
that's quite well initially. He's got his body in, and then I think there's just a tangle, isn't there? He looked to be favourite initially to win the ball. The instant checked and clear. Chelsea again. Lavia, João Pedro. The chance to reset this legs, puts it away from the ball. The mentality's got all the let's get this to half time. 2-0. What a first 45 minutes that'll be for Nottingham Forest. So they're just hanging on a little bit at the moment. They're defending well. Chelsea's second corner. Fling it away, puts it out for another corner. This is another view of that penalty play. Yeah, I mean, I think Backward gets his body in initially. He's in a good position. And as the ball drops, he doesn't quite move his feet to the ball. Just stays almost hoping for the foul himself in the box. So this corner. This way through towards Derry. And a clash between him and Abba.
Yes! Penalty.
And concern for both players. Lying stricken in the penalty area. That's quite a collision. straight away, and I think Anthony Taylor just looks at the challenge and thinks it's a little bit on the edge of dangerous or reckless from Abbott. There's no doubt he's competing for the ball. I think he possibly gets there a fraction late. Hopefully, the contact isn't too bad. Just explaining his decision there. I think Nottingham Forest players are feeling like it's just a genuine two players jumping, trying to head the ball as it's bounced. It's difficult to judge. Well, the decision to award the penalty has been ratified by the VAR, but this is not the scene that anybody wanted to see. Great to see that Abbott is at least sitting up. Derry came off the worst of the two. Liam Delap has been sent out to warm up for Chelsea. Got to make sure clearly that Derry passes concussion protocol before he's going to be allowed to continue. Yeah, so it's such a shame for him. Started the game pretty well, I have to say. It's been in and around it a lot, and it's unfortunate that he's taking that bump to the head. I mean, it's a difficult one when the ball's bouncing like that. It's hard to judge the speed and the height. Well, there's a hush around Stamford Bridge as the medical attention is being given to Jesse Gary. I mean, Abbott will feel like he hasn't done too much wrong. I kind of get that in the sense that you see the ball there, you're a committed defender, which he's done pretty well all of the first half. And he's just trying to head the ball. And sometimes there is a clash of heads. It's just whether he's too late into the challenge that makes it look more like a penalty, or enough of a penalty for Anthony Taylor to feel that is the case. Well, there's a horrendous collision between the two players. But I'm not convinced that Abbott is going to be in a position to continue either. Nico Williams has been getting ready for Nottingham Forest. Clearly of the utmost importance, the health of the two players involved. You cannot take any chances with any players, let alone teenagers. Yeah, Vitor Pereira just explaining that to Abbott, who's so disappointed to have to come off.
Baru juga debut loh, udah.
So Nico Williams is going to come on to replace Zach Abbott. What we can do at this stage really is just hope that the young man is okay. In horrible circumstances you would never wish on any player at all, but let alone a young man who's having a fine league debut. So there's Nico Williams on the right hand side of your picture, and he will replace Abbott, who has gone off. Chelsea. And you'll necessitate a slight reshuffling of things. I imagine Joao Pedro will play at 10. And Palmer will move one side, Enzo Fernandez the other. There will still be 5 minutes of added time to play, there or thereabouts, once we resume. Someone at left field as concussion sub. That means that both teams will be able to have 6 players off the bench over the course of the afternoon. And you can tell a lot from the surrounding players' first reaction of that challenge, and the Chelsea players were very, very quick to wave to the medical staff on the bench to come on. You can clearly see something wasn't good.
Insiden ini.
And so disappointingly, with what hopefully is a too serious injury, it's something to remember. We had a great first 45 minutes, was playing very well. And again, it goes without saying that time is of no consequence at the moment. They have to make sure that this whole process is undertaken in the most painstaking manner. Just to guard against any further problems here for Jesse Gary. He's your view at the moment, just being very carefully manoeuvred onto the bodyboard so that it can be taken away. He gets a compassionate ovation from supporters all around the ground. The Nottingham Forest fans away to our left, joining in on that. One of those always stark reminders. Fiks said it better than anybody else when he described football as the most important of the least important things. And our thoughts with Jesse Derry and his family was the incident. And on one side of the picture here is the he was good for that. Reflection of that. I can totally understand why Anthony Taylor just sees that as a dangerous piece of play. It doesn't have to be too late in there to make it dangerous. There's no doubt it was late to that challenge. So Chelsea with the opportunity to end their long Premier League goal drought. 8 hours and 41 minutes, so haven't been able to do it.
Anjir, penalti tasuk deh.
Incredible seeds.
2 kali lah. Aduh.
Who could stay focused in such a long layoff as that? So difficult for the taker. Maybe the advantage does go to the goalkeeper. When you've got to wait that long, knowing you're taking a penalty, and Settles gets down brilliantly here. It's not the most wonderful penalty. It's not disastrous from Cole Palmer, but in terms of power, it's not as hard as he could hit the ball, which would have made it much harder for Sells. But the read from the goalkeeper was spot on. First penalty that Chelsea missed out of their 13 in League and Cup this season. I just wonder if they're meant to score in the Premier League here. So, honestly, incredible, isn't it? That long without a goal, you get a penalty in those circumstances, and the goalkeeper saves it. Continues 571 minutes and counting. So the second penalty Cole Palmer has ever missed in the Premier League. What I may remember came against Leicester last season. Chelsea not able to halve the deficit going into half time. Still another couple of minutes for them to be able to do that here. Taking on the recently arrived Williams, and that's a goal kick. It's good defending as well. It's a long time for Cole Palmer, isn't it, to wait, knowing you're taking a penalty. I wonder if he changed his mind at all in that time, which corner he was going for. So they're unhappy, Swilly, a lot happier with life now than he was a couple of months ago. So we're expecting the clock to tick through to about 59:30 at the end of this first half. It could all really become good for Forest, couldn't it? Whether it's survival and a potential European final. I mean, it could be a hugely positive season, really. Not better than last year. Bizarre, isn't it? Absolutely bizarre. You can get through 4 managers in a season and then look at a European final, possibly winning that and maintain your Premier League status. I mean, it would just be a huge turnaround. And the other aspect, of course, is the psychological one. They've made 8 changes today, played as well as they have, coming to a side in the top half of the table, and they will take that into Thursday's game at Villa Park. If they were to win here, that would be 7 of their last 9 league wins that have come away from home. Injury for Jesse Derry will do anything to dampen the vitriol from the home support when the half-time whistle goes. Not much. It could be 2-1, but for Matt Sells saving a penalty from Cole Palmer after that horrendous injury after the crash between Abbott and Derry. Towell Wongi had Forest ahead 98 seconds into the game. Dylan Bagua had a major part to play in that. And then he put another good ball in, which forced Malo Gusto to fall down. Igor Jesus converting the penalty.
Baru pertama selesai, kita ketinggalan 0-2 dari Forest ya. Kita break dulu ya. Nanti lagi pas bakal udah see you.
Forest on the brink of Premier League salvation. They lead 2-0 at Stamford Bridge at half-time. Sejak 1981, kita telah menjalani perjuangan yang berlanjut rasanya dengan semangat yang sama. Perjuangan yang akan terus berlanjut karena ini rasanya sudah.
Flash sale 1000 smartphone di Shopee 55 Mega Electronic Sale Midnight Sale 5 Mei dari tengah malam sampai 2 pagi. Ada Brand Flash Sale 50%, cicilan 0% semua elektronik, dan konsep diskon 20%. Hanya di Shopee.
Satu cara untuk bisa think you know Formula One. Everything is changing. New cars, new power, new teams, a new destination, a new generation. We live and breathe every day. Anything can happen. It usually does. No favorites, no guarantees, no limits. You think you know Formula One?
What's up, guys? We're actively working on my wedding. Every day. Selamat datang di tempat saya baru, selamat belanja. CCTV screen terima kasih. Kalau suasana udah nggak sekali gimana? Pokoknya udah bicara sama mama. Papa, nggak pengen kita berubah lebih banyak.
22 rounds in 19 countries, which means 8 months of adrenaline fueled drama. Steelers. The time for racing starts right here, right now.
Yang menjadi apa ya?
koreksi kalau saya salah. Penduduk asli Kota Medan itu kan warga Batak dari mayoritas Kristen. Jadi bisa dibilang dari bagi ini kan kearifan lokal di Kota Medan. Kenapa warga Muslim pendatang jadi ngatur tradisi yang sudah ada? Harusnya kan seperti peribahasa, di mana bumi bijak, langit dijunjung. Artinya di mana kita berada, kita sebagai pendatang harusnya bisa beradaptasi dengan kearifan lokal yang ada. Bukan malah menuntut agar tradisi lokal dihilangkan, menyesuaikan dengan kemauan kita sebagai pendatang. Jadi menurut saya jangan
Ini sekali lagi di sini bukan buat paten.
Tantangannya jadi kemarin langsung kepala staf presiden. Ya lebih ringan.
Ingat kalau lebih
Itu satu orang lansia itu dibayar sekitar 95 juta rupiah sampai 115 juta rupiah per satu video yang berkonten.
yang namanya anggaran pendidikan yang buat pendidikan.
Ketika program PG itu diletakkan di dalam anggaran pendidikan, itu telah menyebabkan distorsi.
Saya hari ini mewakili 20 orang anggota Constitutional and Administrative Society alias dosen tata negara dan administrasi negara. Intinya sih kami mau bilang, ini kan MK nih, kami ingin mengembalikan diskusinya, ini bukan soal praktek PPG.
Saya tanyakan, ternyata ada satu isu bahwa kami sedang berada di luar di sini sudah ada malu. PPG itu ada di sini. Pokoknya ada sini, pokoknya ada 3 bulan, ada minus, ada plus ini ya teman-teman. Maksudnya kecil ada seperti di sini nggak akan jatuh karena apa ini sudah ada programnya, jadi nggak akan jatuh teman-teman. Sudah selesai pakai, tinggal masukin lagi ke sini, masukin lagi ke sini. Dia ada di sini ada misalnya asisten banget terbuat dari bahan stainless anti karat teman-teman. Kemudian di bagian ini juga sudah ada botol, ada juga tumpil kita aja ya teman-teman. Fotonya ada dua, biasa botol ada ataupun dibersihkan di sini kan juga bisa pakai. Yang keren adalah di sini sudah ada talinya kayak gini teman-teman. Ada talinya kayak gini nih. Talinya juga kuat banget, ada tambungnya di bagian ini. Ini kabel tembaga ya teman-teman yang kuat banget nih.
Following up was Alexander Arnold. He thought it was on the line. And yes, the referees watch vibrates. He's given a goal. It's another early Liverpool goal at Old Trafford.
Ada di mana ketika sudah melakukan reformasi?
Well stand because Mo Salah touched the ball with an in an offside position. Scored. Well, struck one quickly.
Tapi yang lebih penting, Jokowi ada di mana?
Liverpool have options, particularly to the left. He chooses the right and Salah. Diaz and Sabozla chopped together. And Liverpool hoping this one will count. Nice assist to Mo Salah too. So it is against today's opponents. Bruno Fernandes. It's Robbie. Alisson's first save of the day. Here's Luis Diaz. Here's Mo Salah. Diaz! 2-0! 2 goals for the Colombian! Liverpool stretching to a 2-goal lead. Leo again, dispossessed. The cast here. Supports line to Salah. Liverpool are running away with it again. Who has scored more goals against Manchester United in his career than any other opponent? One little back would certainly improve the mood. Rashford. Xerxes. Alisson with a strong save. There for Manchester United. Xerxes. So close. He did so well to get into the position. That is agonisingly wide. As the referee blows the final whistle, Alisson continues his 100% start in his new job. It couldn't have gone any better. The old field. Go for it. Indonesia waited so long.
Mari kalau kita panas tentang materai, kita harus menyadari atau sebagian juga sadar apa sih materai ini. Ini ada komentar tentang operasi merah putih belakang. Apa harus
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Stamford Bridge, where Nottingham Forest lead by 2 goals to nil. 2 up inside 15 minutes. And Bishop protected by themselves, penalty save from Cole Palmer in the first half stoppage time. We're going to see 4 changes. 1 for Chelsea, 3 for Nottingham Forest, in addition to those that were made very late at the end of the first half. Tosin is the player that is coming off for Chelsea. And great to see Levi Colwill back.
Welcome back, Levi Colwill.
In the Club World Cup final. He's had ACL surgery since then. He hasn't kicked a ball all season, but comes on now. So his Premier League appearance at Forest on the last day of last season, and he scored the winner. Nottingham Forest changes will see the arrivals of Milenkovic, Gibbs-White, and Anderson, and Cunha, Dominguez, and Igor Jesus are the players that have made way. So all change ahead of the second half here at Stamford Bridge. We now have 6 substitutes on the field for the next 45 minutes. Chelsea making 1 at this point, with the Colwell coming on for Tosin. And Nottingham Forest making 3, bringing on some of the big hitters in Anderson, Gibbs-White and Milenkovic, who maintains his record of having played in every Premier League game this season, because he hasn't played every minute now. Plenty for Chelsea to do. They have any aspirations of finishing in the top 5 this season, they have to turn this 2-0 deficit around. Nottingham Forest getting ever closer to guaranteeing their Premier League status for a Nottingham. Heavily involved at the start of the second half. Another player that will feel that he was shoulder to shoulder there with Milenkovic just coming on. Do that. But I do like the substitutions that Vitor Pereira has made. I think it's smart. You're 2-0, don't wait for it to get closer to 1-0. Milenkovic, Anderson and Gibbs-White, who are, let's face it, the spine of this Nottingham Forest team. So I think it's a clever move from the manager. So here's Colwell, who once scored a goal that got Nottingham Forest promoted. It was in the playoff final when he was in a loan spell at Huddersfield. Also scored the goal that denied him a place in the Champions League last season. At the moment, it's Forest will be allowing Chelsea that, potentially. Certainly might into their league position. They can hang on to this 2-0 advantage here. Only controlling that after the ball had gone over the line and out of play. Sunderland took their big streak in the league to 6. It's 9 in all competitions after their victory over Villa in the Europa League on Thursday. Massive chance here to make it 3 wins in a row in the league for the first time since early last year. Found that form at the best possible time. Pereira only found Yates there. Back for Williams, who ordinarily in this Forest team is used as a left back, but throwing it right back after replacing Abbott late in the first half. Trying to get around Milenkovic. He uses all of his big frame there. Milenkovic, he knows that Pedro's got the legs on him, but didn't allow him to get to the ball, just stepped right across his path. Reluctance from the Chelsea players to retreat 10 yards after Freaky was given Forest's way there. Here's McAtee. Away by Colwell. Picked up by Elliot Anderson. Ball just in behind McAtee. And the one he couldn't react quickly enough. Well, Forest again. Looking like they have the quality when they get the ball in key areas of the pitch to find players. It's a good position from Levi Colwell. The touch maybe could have been a bit tighter from that man. But good anticipation from Colwell. He'll need a bit of time to get to his rhythm after such a long layoff, getting a bit of ring rust and get a few bad passes and bad decisions out of the system. Just first touch forced into very hastily for a second. You're getting a ball there. Gustav. Gets across inside the penalty area, a long way. Pereira able to help it back into the front. afraid of Lamia arriving. It's Gusto coming in behind him. Just got a corner. It's just far better rhythm from Chelsea. It's the kind of move that gets the crowd off the seat as well. It's been so flat here inside Stamford Bridge this afternoon. Such a poor early start, but they need to get the ball wide, get crosses in the box, get people arriving, try and build up a head of steam here. Fernandez with the delivery, Milinkovic with the first touch. With Fiks. Well, no one said this management job was going to be easy. It's a full pass from Gibbs White, really. It's a great opening there for Forest. Chelsea again, quite stretched. How do you wrap that pass out? Cucurella been right in a 1v1 situation, backing off. Not enough pace on the pass out wide. Slightly different role for Gibbs White today. In the recent games, he's been moved out of the left-hand side. Actually seeing less of the ball as a result, but he's been putting it in better areas, and that's led to his 7 goals in his last 7 Premier League games. But since the switch to 4-4-2, he's been playing quite narrow on the left. And coming on, he's in the Igor Jesus role off Awoniyi today. And here he is, driving forward. Awoniyi waiting. That is number 3. Forest, Brandon, and Chelsea certainly not pulling up any trees. They just get carved open once again, and not for the first time this afternoon. The movement just drags Colville in, and he leaves that hole. Casado isn't ready. I mean, it's a tight offside. Is he ahead of the ball there? That's going to be the question. It's the ball that's the marker, not a player. That's going to need the technology, you feel. But I have to say, it's such a simple little piece of movement. Draws Cole out of his hole. Gibbs White spins into the space. No Chelsea player, midfield player, is recovering well enough. And from your picture there, it does look from this angle, but we're not dead in line with the ball. It can be misleading.
Offside. Huh?
Perhaps counterintuitively, when you saw that, still, that's why you can never go off that angle, even this angle that we're looking at will look different many different times because we're dealing with a couple of inches. But this is the only one that matters. This is the technology, this is what's measuring it, bang on. That is, well, very, very close to breaking that, probably an inch or two. But these are the margins you deal with. The Forest are in dreamland. Behind the ball when it was played, and as a consequence, the goal stands. Chelsea 3-0 down again. Their league campaign unraveling so quickly. It's right there, 3-0 defeat at Everton, 3-0 defeat here against Manchester City, same scoreline at Brighton. Now 3 down today. Licking his lips at the prospect of coming here at 4-0 tomorrow. It just feels a little bit of an inability for the players to take responsibility of situations and just manage them on the field. Nottingham Forest have done that so much better this afternoon. Stop with well, expecting the referee to give a free kick into hands as well. Sanchez digging it clear. This is a real test of resilience and character for Chelsea now. Staring down the barrel of a sixth successive Premier League defeat to nil. It's the first time already that they've lost 5 games in a row without scoring since 1912. They've never lost 6 successive league games to nil in their entire history. It's quite incredible, really. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? You're going to be saying that out loud this season. The firepower that's in this Chelsea team.
Hindi mo toxic ini mga bendera.
The stark reality of life for Chelsea is that they would be ninth, goal difference going through the floor. They'll be 4 points adrift of Bournemouth, which, when you consider the complete disparity in spending power, is a quite remarkable statistic. And more importantly, 10 adrift of the top 5 that will guarantee Champions League football. Obviously, the top 5 finish wholly dependent on a quite extraordinary turnaround in the last half hour or so, which maybe 4 goals without reply would be so out of character with everything we've seen from Chelsea over the last couple of months. Character of the feel of the game as well. Chelsea having a lot of the ball. Forest appearing to be far more potent and not there forever. The attacking intent that Chelsea had in this game is just not been good enough. The quality certainly hasn't been good enough. Leo Lavia will be replaced by Andre Santos, who had a couple of appearances on loan at Forest a couple of seasons ago. And the Brazilian international midfielder, getting just a little over half an hour here. Kind of beneath that beaten by Gibbs White. Supplying the width coming into the penalty area off the Forest right. It's back for McAtee. Didn't pull the trigger. When he eventually does, he actually chances the defender off his feet. The shot that may have been going wide. And the Blues will be able to bring it forward now with Gustav. Palmer offering the support for him. Swinging deep towards the back post and a great header away from Williams as Fernandez was poised. It's an important touch from Nico Williams. Gets his distance just about right to stay tucked inside, but also not get beat over the top with that ball. But Forest again, just before that, creating another big goal scoring opportunity. Which if McAtee would have been a bit sharper and took the chance quicker, we could be looking at 4-0. Forest scored 3 goals in a game for Stamford Bridge was back in 1987, and 40 years ago. They lost that day, beaten by 4 goals to 3. I'm not sure if Sanchez has put a big shout forward there, because to me, as an attacking player, you're kind of half aware that is coming from the goalkeeper.
Apalagi nih?
Shouting a nasty clash of heads. Such was the brute force and pace of that collision. But it's hard to imagine at this juncture, prejudging the job that the medical staff will do, that either player could possibly pass concussion protocol after that. They will both have to come off, and that then will have consequences for Nottingham Forest on Thursday night if Gibbs White has to come off here through concussion and beyond, because it's that kind of concussion's not just a few days, Jim, is it? That can turn into 10, 12, 14 days. So, the look on Vitor Pereira's face a moment ago, you can see the cogs just turning with him. Obviously, his immediate worry is the player okay, and then you start to picture and think about who can I bring on, the injury risk. But it was such a freakish clash again, wasn't it? Have demonstrated this afternoon is that making wholesale changes doesn't necessarily mean that there will be a bad performance and a bad result. I know a lot of fans, particularly West Ham United supporters, were hugely disappointed at the team that Villa put out yesterday against Spurs. The Forest showing that you can make changes and it have absolutely no detrimental effect at all. I think they've surprised us all, Jim, to be honest. I'll be the first to say I saw the team, and even comments made before the game to say, well, they're clearly focused on competition on Thursday, which is obviously a huge game for the club, but this performance has indicated anything but that. The way the players have applied themselves, how he set the team up and they've absorbed what he wants. They've just been better than Chelsea, more efficient, more clinical. It's been a very good team performance. Sanchez has been bandaged up. Philip Jørgensen's going to be coming on to replacing the Danish international. With a side from Villarreal, Morgan Gibbs White also being patched up. It's quite unusual to see three or four significant head injuries in a game, isn't it? You don't see that very often.
Dua kali loh kasus ini cedera kepala.
It's very reassuring to see both of the players involved in this one being able to leave the field under their own steam. Morgan Gibbs White making his way off. Chris Wood is going to replace him. The player who scored here last season, his only career goal against Chelsea. So Wood coming on to replace Gibbs White. from scoring the 200th goal of his career on Thursday. And Robert Sanchez will be replaced by Philip Jørgensen, who's had a couple of Premier League starts this season. Against Manchester City, one against Aston Villa. Against Whitewoods. Causing havoc as well, wasn't it? Having coming on, creating the third goal, he was nearly getting in there with that collision with Sanchez, and his movement was a real problem. Some confirmation we just heard from the VAR that is a normal change being made by Chelsea and not a concussion substitution. Why would you not make that as a concussion substitution? It seems quite bizarre. Because they'd be within their rights to use it as a concussion. So I think it's simply that they took Derry off under that protocol. Okay, yeah. Say 4 concussions in one match, very rare. Just an indicator of the kind of collisions you can see in football. Grabbing back well, and you might have handling in. Here's Mackinson. Chris Wood. Yates. So they're giving this through kick away, and Nottingham Forest with another opportunity to push the bodies forward. Well, the chorus from the away end is the Reds are staying up. It's hard to find any logical reason why they won't be on the strength of this. And it's the only real piece of noise inside Stamford Bridge at the moment as well. It's coming from that red corner. It will be a real blow for Gibbs White and Forest to be asked to miss the game on Thursday. It's hard to envision circumstances in which he would be able to play in a little over 72 hours' time. That would be a hugely significant blow for Nottingham Forest. We've considered a free kick here. Chasing after this, so he's taking control. Conscious of that, forced him to get the angle slightly wrong on the clearance. Between Milankovic and Delac. Williams with the ball forward. Chowder bring up at the back for Chelsea. Can Chelsea get this game going in any fashion possible just to get a bit of momentum? Pulling it back is Santos. Anderson and Gray involved. Yeah, holding back in the midfield for Enzo Fernandez. It's getting tetchy out there. Yeah, wrapping his left foot around it. Above the ground. It's a good foul one by Backward in that situation. Anderson flying into that tackle on Cucurella a moment ago. And the initial block from Yates was very good from Forrest. He's been good this afternoon. Ryan Yates, he's just read the situation defensively, got across, blocked little holes and passages. It was a solid game. And so Forrest at the moment have 42 points. It's 15 years since anyone was relegated from the Premier League with 39. 3 games to go. Forrest needing another 6 to be mathematically sure of leaving the job. 3 of those coming in here. Mathematically, we can always look at it, but the reality is that's a lot of ground for Spurs or West Ham to make up, isn't it? This is a huge win for Nottingham Forest. Slows ball in, put a long way past the lad. Cucurella can keep it alive. Back in shot, plays on a save, and then scores in the second attempt. Finally, the drought is over. Well, it's the comeback on. Comes from across though, which they haven't done enough to put Forrest under pressure. It's quite a tight offside shout there. I think that potentially has been certainly checked. I mean, the rebound obviously comes straight back to him. But I think that is a really tight offside call. It's whether or not Nico Williams' heel or shoulder, or shall we say right knee possibly, is playing João Pedro on, because his foot is just over that 6-yard line. It looks like Nico Williams. It's just the other side of it. It's another really tight call. Yeah, I agree with you. Parallax error makes it very difficult to judge from that still. But if you look at the white line, you would imagine that Williams is probably further forward. All parts of his body are further forward where João Pedro's toe is clearly over it. My guess is that this will be chalked off. But it's clearly the length of time that it's taking to get the decision right, mightily tight. You get to go on the pitch markings really, because the angle doesn't help you if the counter, the freeze frame there. It's so hard to tell. The drought goes on. João Pedro thought it was over at 9 hours and 9 minutes, but that's not the case. As close as you like. Also benefiting from one at the other end at a matter of inches, and only inches in that as well. And it's not going your way. It's really not going your way. And Chelsea missed the penalty, and that is a very tight call for an offside, which in real time looked okay, didn't it? But only when you saw that freeze frame of the position of when the pass is struck at Nico Williams' knee would indicate that it was marginally offside, and the technology's shown that. It's not helped the mood inside Stamford Bridge, is it? Being chalked off. Well, realistically with 15 minutes to go, albeit that there's going to be a lot of stoppage time to be added on. The only consolation that Chelsea can get today, you feel, is ending this goal trap. Thought they'd done it then, but I think again. To the slight miscue. Andres Santos, Enzo Fernandez. Cucurella making the run into space on the Chelsea left, but he's got to retrace his steps to be able to bring it under control. Cole for Enzo Fernandez. Look at Cucurella again. And João Pedro going to play. He's trying to slip it through, makes him sure that he couldn't. Jurgensen having to race out of his penalty area. How many times has Red blocked those passes this afternoon? So many occasions. He's João Pedro again, and it was a good tackle. Excellent defending from Nico Williams just to put his foot in to steer that away. And the exodus has started from Stamford Bridge. The home form this season has been poor on a consistent basis. If the table was decided on home form alone, they'd be in the bottom 8. And they could well end up losing more at home than they've won, and that hasn't happened since 1979. This is going to be a 7th home defeat of the campaign. They've only won 6. And this home performances and results like this that don't help the discontent with the ownership either, do they? There's a lot been going on since they've come in and brought the club, Luco. And I know the supporters are not best pleased. This result and performance is not going to help that matter. So a yellow card for Moise Caicedo, his 14th of the season, to go along with a red card given to him by Anthony Taylor back in November. And Liam Delap has picked up a yellow card as well for some back chat. Discipline as well, Jim, can't you? It's been poor this season from Chelsea. It was a big feature under Liam Rosenior, wasn't it? He got a fair bit of questioning around that. Well, 6 of the starting 11 today have been sent off at some stage this season. Yeah. For Chelsea, Forest have got another problem potentially. That doesn't look good, does it? There's no reason for Spurs to want to drag this game out any longer. And him going down holding his right groin. He's had a fair old injury hit season, hasn't he? Forest keeper. And the only 2 negatives are potentially this, and also Gibbs White being out with a concussion. But it's worth having another look at the goals. That one for me was top. I think that's a brilliant piece of wing play. So early on to get up and head the ball as well as that. There's the sloppy defending from Gusto, which Anthony Taylor failed to see, but was a clear penalty after VAR. And at this point, I think Chelsea are just so stretched. Gibbs White, lovely running behind. And 2 goals for Taiwo and 1 he's never scored a senior hat-trick in his career. He might not get the opportunity to do it today because Amari Hutchinson is getting ready down beneath us and is going to be coming on in a moment. And it may well be the big number 9 who makes way. Marcel's is okay to continue. Oh, they made the change. It's going to be Backwell instead that makes way. He's staked a bit of a claim back, hasn't he? Done well. Having had a largely, I think he'd be the first of a bit underwhelming time in the East Midlands so far, but he really took this opportunity today by the scruff of the neck, particularly in the opening 15 minutes. acceleration backwards and makes his way around in front of the Nottingham Forest supporters at the shed end of the ground. The other team 3 away from home inside the final 10 minutes. Anderson getting it forward. Hutchinson with the post to burn, taking on Mark Kukurea. Good strength from Spaniard to get it back. Colwell will clear. Sean Ferrer can't hold.